Thank you so much for joining us for the Anti-Violence Project. This is a project that was very important to Howie and I. About 3 years ago, we received information that rising numbers and a lot of different categories. So we really wanted to put something together that talked not only about the issues of our area, but how we can avoid those issues or prevent those issues and find help. And of course, Katie Johnson from the Lafayette House here in Joplin, a great resource. I think that a lot of people don't know this as a family resource center. So you guys help a lot of folks. What are some of the issues? I know I've seen some of the numbers, domestic assaults, domestic abuse, child abuse. The numbers are really staggering in our area. Can you talk to a little bit about what are some of the issues that we are challenged with?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, domestic violence, sexual assault, and substance use is very prevalent in the Joplin community. Lafayette House, we locally serve about 1,300 women and children each year. And then we also take men on our domestic violence and sexual assault side. So it is a problem definitely within our community.
Yeah, across the board.
Yeah.
So when we talk about this, I guess we really want to know, before we get to the help that's available, because there's a lot of resources that are available, what are some of the things in our area that, do you think, is it the economy? Is it just education? What is it that brings us to this level of violence?
I think it's, you know, really anything. The economy, education, and just not knowing that domestic violence is out there. It could look like any normal day-to-day human, but then behind closed doors with their abuser, it's a totally different story. So it's really hard sometimes to identify a domestic violence victim until you kind of start digging, or if you're listening to their story, or kind of picking up on those little pinpoints. If they do drop hints or talk to somebody. So sometimes it's hard to identify.
Well, let's talk about that for a little bit, because again, for someone that's not aware, like myself, I may not know what to look for to identify. So to be an aware member of our community or family, what are some of the things that we can look for to maybe be a telltale sign that at least maybe we need to reach out?
Right. So of course there's always visible. So bruising, you know, if there's any physical abuse going on there, hitting, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then there's the mental aspect of it. So that could look anything from manipulation, you know, if they're being possessive, kind of stalking. So if they're coming to the workplace, if you see them on their phone a lot, if they're always checking in with that partner. So those are kind of some things to pick up on, to maybe ask, you know, like, hey, is everything okay? Or maybe if they're not socializing, you know, if you're going out with a group of friends to grab dinner and they're not there, that could be a control issue.
Okay, sure.
So, you know, look for those little signs and ask out.
Well, let me ask you this now. Okay, now we know what to look for. So let's say that I do have a family member or a coworker. I'm seeing some of these symptoms or signs, and I'm concerned for them. What's the best avenue for me to take? Should I talk to them? Should I report it? What would be the best thing for me to do?
So you can definitely try to reach out to them. Sometimes they may hide it. They may not want to talk about that. And with that instance, of course, you do not want to pressure them into talking about it. You can also reach out to us. You can reach out to the domestic violence hotline and kind of, you know, say, hey, I've got this friend. They're going through some of these signs. You know, how can I help them? What can I do? That sort of thing.
That's awesome. Well, let me ask you this, because now we've got people that have identified problems. We know what the problems are. And some of us, again, you talked about it, we're a little ashamed of the problem that we're going through. But I think that the brightest light out there, I am familiar with the Lafayette House and the work that you guys do. There's help available.
Absolutely.
How do we get that help?
Yeah, so you can, on social media, we have our email. You can write in on Facebook. Someone monitors those messages. You can give us a call, 417-782-1772, and there's someone available to talk to 24/7.
The help is available, folks. That's what this Anti-Violence Project is all about. We want to, of course, raise the awareness of the issues that we're dealing with, but more than that, we want to be able to address those issues and offer you help and hope, and that's what we hope that we've done today. Thank you so much, Katie. We're going to have this content and more at 4stateshomepage.com.
You're watching the Anti-Violence Project as we seek to educate and really find solutions for something that plagues not only, you know, the world, our nation, our state, but really right where we live here in our community, the 4 states. And Matt Engel from the Washington Family Hope Center, you guys are helping tackle some of that, aren't you?
Yeah, we're a homeless shelter, like you said, part of Water Gardens, and we house moms and children. We've got 6 rooms there at our building. We're in the old Washington Schoolhouse on East 2nd 2nd Street, and we've seen families from all different types of situations come in to seek shelter there with us.
Yeah, yeah. So whenever you talk about mothers and children, how do you see violence, you know, affect them, what some of you deal with?
Well, you know, you just think about their situation that they're in. If a family is becoming homeless, there's stress in the household, things are just out of control, and unfortunately what happens a lot of times in that is if you have a dad who's lost control in every other area of his life, he takes that out on his wife, takes that out on his kids.
Yeah.
You know, even the same thing sometimes for moms when they're getting into that situation. They're much more likely to be abusive towards their kids if they're experiencing homelessness.
What is some of the other fallout that you see when it comes to domestic violence? Of course, homelessness. But, you know, how does that affect the kids, especially when it dealing with parents and even education?
Yeah, it makes it so much harder for that kid to be able to have that consistency they need to be able to go to school every day and to be able to learn and to stay in school. I think the numbers are something like 80% of women who are homeless experienced abuse when they were a child. So we're not only giving a safe place for the mom to get out of a situation and those kids, but hopefully we're changing the trajectory and the path of those kids to where we don't see them as adults at our homeless shelter, you know, our outreach center there in Kentucky.
What are some of the things that you do? I know you provide shelter, but are there some other things that you do there at the Family Hope Center?
Yeah, so we provide childcare for kids up to school age, so that way if our moms are trying to find jobs, going back to school, that sort of thing, that's such a big expense to have your kids in childcare, and that allows them to not worry about that. Those kids are taken care of. We work with the Joplin School District to make sure our school-age kids are able to stay enrolled at the schools they were at prior, so that's not another change for them to deal with during this time. Makes it a lot easier. Whenever
you have some of the people who come in, what is your hope and your goal whenever they walk out from the Washington Family Hope Center? What's your goal for them?
Yeah, our goal is for them to be completely self-sufficient, to not be dependent on government funds or dependent on anyone else, but that they have a good job, you know, and that is going to be able to provide for themselves and their family. And ultimately, our goal is to not see them back in 6 months or a year or 2 years, that we've done enough that their whole life has changed and they're able to keep that change.
Yeah. Now, again, whenever you're talking about families, mothers, and children, they come from all walks of life, right?
Yes. In our shelter right now, we have a couple local moms. We actually have a mom that is here from Honduras, and we have a mom that's here from the Congo in Africa. So, I mean, from all over, not just our area, all over the world, that have ended up here in this place, have ended up in need, and we've been able to step in and meet that need.
Do you think that if we saw some domestic violence numbers go down, that you would see the need, I mean, your need a little lessened in our community?
Yeah, I believe so. You know, that domestic violence is so tied to homelessness when it comes to moms and kids. And if that could lessen, you know, we have numerous moms that have come straight out of that, you know, and nationwide, I think the stat is almost 60% of moms that are homeless that's directly caused by domestic violence in their house.
How can the community partner with you to help what you guys do?
So we always are in need of volunteers. You know, we've got you know, people who come that are just there to build relationships and sit and talk with these moms, help them, you know, pray with them, that sort of thing. We need volunteers to help in our child care area. We have a director, but we need extra people to come in and hang out with them. And then, of course, there's always our one-night campaign that we do through Water Gardens. That's how we raise our budget every year. So that financial gift of $15 a month covers one bed for one night in our shelter.
It's pretty amazing. Well, you guys are doing some great work over there at the Washington Family Hope Center, and we applaud you, and we're rooting for you, and we're cheering for you. Can people stop by and see you guys, kind of see what you do?
Yeah, so we're located at 1112 East 2nd Street. I'm there 8 to 5, Monday through Friday most days, but anybody's welcome to come by, and I'd love to give them a tour, help them, you know, see what we're doing. That building is amazing. If you haven't been over there, the renovation that was done on that first floor is really neat. So we love to show it off.
It's a pretty cool thing. All right. We've got more of the Anti-Violence Project heading your way. Stay with us. You're watching the Anti-Violence Project. This is a chance to get community members together, experts, professionals, to kind of educate, but to educate to prevent some of the ills that we kind of see from society, of course, that has to do with anti-violence. And we're just excited to have Erin Crawford here from the Rafa House. Hello, Erin.
Hi, how are you, Howie?
Very good, very good. This is a chance, really, to speak to someone in long form about what Rafa House is and how to prevent some of the things that you guys are there to serve. Tell me a little bit about Rafa House.
Sure. So the mission of Rafa House is to end the sexual exploitation and trafficking of children one child at a time. And we do that through aftercare for survivors, prevention for vulnerable kids, and awareness for everyone.
That's good. Tell me real quick about the aftercare for survivors.
Sure. Our aftercare services are international. We have locations in Cambodia, Thailand, and Haiti.
Wow.
Survivors of human trafficking are identified, and then they come into Rafa International's care. We provide that safety and support, counseling services, social services, and education.
Yeah. So would you say here in the four-state area, would you say human trafficking is just as prevalent as other places?
Absolutely. You know, every community has issues related to child sexual abuse, human trafficking, and exploitation.
Gotcha. Okay, so we know the words human trafficking, but tell people what it is not, because there are a lot of misconceptions about what it is,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Thanks, Howie. So a lot of times people have some misconceptions about trafficking. Sometimes the movies or even some stories that circulate online make it seem like trafficking is about creepy people hanging out in malls and parks and snatching kids up. And while that can happen, it's not impossible. It's really not the most common way. What we like to talk about and educate people about are issues like grooming and emotional manipulation, how people who intend to traffic children build relationships with them.
Wow.
They become essential, they become a needed person, they fill needs for love and attention and freedom, and that's how they draw them in and gain their trust in order to traffic them and force them into commercial sex acts.
Yeah. So whenever you talk about grooming, you know, let's get real.
Yeah.
What is that? Tell me about that.
Yeah, thanks. So grooming is a process that perpetrators go through to gain the trust not only of the child, but sometimes the child's family, the child's community, institutions like churches and schools can be groomed to think that a person is trustworthy and that a person deserves access to children.
Yeah.
That looks like targeting certain kids, filling needs. A really important part of grooming is isolation, isolating that child away from other kids and adults, and then unfortunately sexualizing that relationship.
Sure.
And when it comes to trafficking, the next step is engaging that child in a commercial sex act.
Wow. I tell you what, you're educating right now. If somebody wanted to get educated further, not just about what Rafa House does, but about these types of things, how do they go about and work with you in that?
Sure. Well, contacting us at the Rafa House is something that we always want to encourage people to do. We have a special training program that is called Culture of Care, and that is specifically for churches to learn about recognizing the signs and symptoms, building up policies that protect kids from any kind of threat that may be present there, and just some ongoing support. We know that churches are gathering places for families, so we want to support them in that safety.
Sure. What else do you guys do down at Rafa? Now, you guys are located right there on Main Street, so you guys have some other things that happen down there as well, right?
Sure. We offer some trauma-focused therapy at our location downtown. We have a couple therapists who will see kids who have experienced trauma and that sort of thing. Lots of community education. We want to go out into our, like I said, our churches, but also schools. Whoever would like to listen to us talk about trafficking, we're always there for them.
Yeah, that's amazing. How do they find you online?
Go to www.rafa.org. And you'll find us.
Very good. Erin Crawford with Rafa House, all part of the Anti-Violence Project. Of course, you can get all extended content on fourstateshomepage.com, or if you would like to replay this and share it. You guys are on Facebook, correct?
That is right. Yep, Rafa International.
Rafa International, doing some great work right here in the 4 states and internationally when it comes to human trafficking and other issues like that. Rafa House, all part of the Anti-Violence Project. Again, fourstateshomepage.com for all added content. More of the Anti-Violence Project when we return.